When my daughter was young, we introduced her to gymnastics. She was totally hooked and kept asking for more and more lessons. We encouraged her, thinking she would eventually lose interest. Now she's a tween, training 20 hours a week, spending weekend after weekend competing at high-level competitions. The problem is she's 5'7" already and still growing. She's starting to have ambitions for a D1 scholarship or even the Olympics. That makes me very worried. Being 5'7" basically kills her chances of going to the Olympics. A D1 gymnastics scholarship is already rare, and the odds of her getting one with her height are even rarer. It makes me feel bad that our daughter is very, very dedicated. She's almost always the first one at the gym and the last one to leave. She watches replays of her routine on our drive to training, turns down social events because she needs to train, and does extra conditioning at home. Yet I cannot justify blowing thousands of dollars a year and hundreds of hours in time every year to gamble on something with so little chance of success. All the hours spent at her training, driving her to competitions, are already causing our family life to suffer. She under-rotates her skills because of her height and gets injured more frequently than others. Her academics are suffering because of her gymnastics commitment. Her life is going in the wrong direction because of gymnastics. The Band-Aid is better ripped off earlier than later. My husband agrees. I broke the news to my daughter. Frankly, telling her to give up something she's worked so hard for breaks my heart. I told her I knew she was a hard worker. She will get a much better reward if she channels her hard work elsewhere, like in school or another sport. Heck, she plays tennis with the family only casually, yet she was able to win a few U12 tournaments locally. If that's not talent, I don't know what is. Needless to say, she did not take that well. She cried and cried and cried, locking herself in her room, refusing to eat, saying maybe if she doesn't eat she'll become shorter. I told her repeatedly that I loved her and wanted the best for her, but she wouldn't have any of it. I tried to reason with her, telling her chasing a dream is a privilege, not a right. No use. My husband has now softened even though we used to have an agreement. Our family is now phoning us to persuade us to let her continue training, even offering support for training costs and pickups and drop-offs. If she has the right body type to be an elite gymnast, or if she is tall like she is but isn't struggling because of her height, I would support her unconditionally. However, that is not the case. Sometimes I feel like giving in, but to think it through, I was the person who drove her to train and compete. I'm the breadwinner who paid for her training. It should be my right to call it off, especially as a parent. Help me out. Am I wrong? You are the idiot. You're taking away her passion instead of trying to come up with a compromise that still allows her to train and participate in what she loves. I was a dancer and too tall for anything but the core in ballet. You know what? I continued to dance into my late teens. I was aware of my limitations, but dance was never taken from me. You are taking something from your daughter without discussing it or trying to work something out. Can you taper off? 20 hours a week, frequent injuries, no social life, and grades not as good as they could be are valid reasons to want her to focus her energy in other places too. People have no idea how much time, effort, and sacrifice it takes to be a serious athlete. You are not the idiot. Reality sucks, but it's just that, reality. You don't get to change it because you want something really badly. Yep, people are totally unrealistic. You're spending thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours, and commenters are like, but she loves it. Her grades and social life are suffering and she's injuring herself. Commenters are all, but she loves gymnastics. That's irrelevant. Parents are supposed to step in when necessary. Ex-athlete here that picked at a whopping 5'2" in a tall people sport. I completely see both sides. Constant overtraining is just going to lead to a lifetime of injuries. I'm 46 and need surgery on 3 joints, but I love playing and no one can tell me to stop, so here I am, broken by age 40 and in for a lifetime of pain. Maybe try diving. Same skills, not the same height limitations. Hopefully you can find a way to redirect your daughter's passion and dedication to a less damaging sport. I was with my ex for about 7 years, never married, and we lived together for the last 4. We broke up 3 years ago. She has a 21-year-old son, Shane, who is now going to college in a town I've since moved to, that his parents do not live in, about 6 hours drive. We've moderately kept in touch since the breakup, mostly just when he reaches out to me. I would have preferred a clean break from both him and his mom, but I have a hard time totally shutting people out. I haven't seen Shane in person since he was 18. Anyway, I got married last year and welcomed my first child a few months ago. This will be my first Christmas with my wife and child. Shane was going to visit where his mom lives now for Christmas, but due to a pending storm, it's uncertain if he will be able to travel there. He called me last night and asked if he could spend Christmas with me. I definitely got off guard and told him while it's good to hear from him, it will be my first Christmas as a whole family and I'd prefer to keep it to just us and maybe her parents who will stop by later. Shane was very upset and told me I was replacing him. I tried to reason with him that this happens when adults move on. I said we could still keep in touch, but I wanted Christmas just with my family since it's our first one. He hung up and then later sent me a long text saying some not super nice things. My wife is glad I said no, but at the same time, she says she empathizes with how he feels and I should apologize but not necessarily have him over, but she would support me if that's what I want. Am I the idiot for not wanting him to come over for Christmas? Edit, Shane's father is active in his life, he just is often out of town. I had only met Shane a few times until he moved in during his high school years. He was very active in sports and extracurriculars, so he wasn't actually home that much for us to spend time together. Their moving in was supposed to be temporary until his mum got laid off and it dragged into their staying longer. His mother was very adamant that Shane had a father and she didn't want me to attempt to parent her kid. While he lived at my house, he was basically an adult roommate. We got along well, but it was never a father-son type relationship. Yikes, dude, you are the idiot. He was your stepkid basically for 7 years. He's stranded for Christmas. Would it seriously hurt you if he came for Christmas? I'm grossed out by this, not gonna lie. If virtually anyone with whom I have a stable relationship asked if they could come to my house for Christmas, I'd say yes, because it's Christmas. So you're obliged to keep in touch with someone for the rest of your life just because you were around for their formative years? I think it's highly inappropriate to keep in touch with the children of your exes, especially if you don't even have an emotional attachment to them. You can't keep staying in their lives just to spare their feelings. OP has his own feelings and the feelings of his own family. The young man mentioned in the story has a father, so it's not even like OP was his only father figure. Disagree. OP's an idiot. You either make a clean break or you let him be part of the family. You basically chose neither and that is why you have this issue. You should have told him you were no longer a part of the family as soon as you signed those divorce papers. It still would have hurt a lot, but that is the proper way of doing things, not just because it is inconvenient for you now. The only good thing is he's an adult now and this will give you the clean break you wanted, even if it was the absolute worst way to do it. My youngest daughter died 9 years ago. She left behind a husband, Joe, and 3 children. My granddaughter is now nearly an adult and my grandsons are now both teens. Joe has since remarried a lovely woman, Marie. Marie has a son and a daughter from a previous marriage, and she and Joe have a young child together. We get along with Marie and the other children. Though we're not very close, we're definitely not like we were when my daughter was alive. Unfortunately, that appears now to be a problem. You see, there is a book, a scrapbook type of book. We add new family members to it and the children born get little updates about them until they're grown. It was started by my grandmother and continued by my mother and now me. It's not in the best condition, but we cherish it in the family and those who are gone. When we look back, there are little memories in there to make us smile. I do not have Marie or any of her children in this book, but they know of the book's existence from Joe and my grandchildren. My oldest granddaughter and her wife became parents recently, and the book became a hot topic. Marie was unhappy that my great-grandchild was included, but not her and her kids, because my great-grandchild is not related by blood. Joe told me the kids would love to have their whole family added to it, but then my grandchildren claimed something different. It's become such a mess. Joe, Marie and I eventually sat down to discuss it and they told me they felt like Marie and the kids should be shown full acceptance as part of the whole family and included. Marie also added that she should be added where Joe is, his pages are joined to my daughter's. I said that would never happen. She told me she and her kids are just as much part of my family. I told her she was not. I made it very clear she would never be my daughter. Joe told me it would set a good example for my grandchildren to fully embrace Marie and the children, drop the need for step and see that they are all accepted just as much as he and they are. I told him I couldn't do that I love him, that I love my grandchildren, but I do not love Marie or their other children. I like them, they're good to have around, but it's not the same. They're angry. My grandchildren are upset their dad wanted Marie and the other kids to be in the book. Marie called me a terrible grandmother and person, and that she had told her kids I was grandma, and now I'd made their lives so much more terrible. Am I the idiot? This is a very clear-cut case of not the idiot. Marie and her children are not related to you by blood. Marie is not married to your son or daughter. Marie is married to your late daughter's widowed husband. Joe is only in the book because he was married to your daughter, who has since died. Joe, too, has no connection to you anymore. Since your daughter is no longer around to have a say, her children need to do that for her, and they have. They don't want Marie and her children in this book. Joe should be happy that you're continuing the tradition for your daughter's children, for his older children whose mother has died. So should Marie. If Joe and Marie care so much, they should have started a new book for their blended family years ago, but they cannot demand that the extended family members do the same. Geez, your former son-in-law and his new wife are extremely daft. This woman is basically a stranger to you. You don't owe it to her to be added to the family book, and your grandchildren understand this as well. The issue is Joe and Marie. Does Marie think that you adopted her after your daughter died? Do they expect or calculate some inheritance from your side? Your daughter's widower's wife does not belong on your family tree. I imagine the grandchildren are hurt and feel like she's trying to shove into their memories of their mother. Love that Dad lied about his kids' feelings too. Glad Grandma asked them directly. I don't understand these people who marry a widow or a widower and can't accept that they're a widower. Like, just marry someone who doesn't have that baggage if you don't want to deal with it. I, 37, have 2 children, Charlie, young male teen, and Layla, female preschooler. Both have different mothers. I have 60-40 custody of Charlie due to his mother's job. I've been with my wife, Amy, 26, for 5 years. Amy is deaf in 1 ear and partial hearing in the other. Layla is learning sign language, or it's called Makaton at their age. We offered Charlie the opportunity to learn sign language and he passed as he's busy with sports, which is fine. None of my family speaks sign language. Amy can read lips and does speak, but she's more comfortable with sign language. We've had problems in the past with my sister, 25, teasing Amy on her pronunciation. She calls it teasing. I say if you can't do it to the person's face and make them laugh, it's bullying, but I've called her on it and put it to bed. I recently overheard Charlie mocking Amy's pronunciation too, or the way she speaks. I don't believe I have to give a warning to not mock someone over disability. I told him he's grounded until I decide his punishment. Although I told Amy about taking away his Christmas presents and she doesn't want to, as she doesn't want him to resent her and says Christmas isn't the time to punish him. Overall, it's my say, so am I the idiot? You are the idiot. He's already grounded, and it will only make him resent you and Amy and hate Christmas for the rest of his life. Find a way to educate him on why what he has done is wrong and find an effective way to make him not do it again. Oh, and I don't believe I have to give a warning to not mock someone over disability. If this issue has never come up before, then yes, you do. It's your damn job as a parent to teach your child why that is not okay. The entire world is ableist, and if you don't teach your child why that is wrong, he will never be able to learn. I agree with Amy. It will only make him resent her and you. Parenting is teaching through words and actions, not punishments. Kindness is taught, just like cruelty. So if your son is being unkind about Amy's disability, then it implies that you haven't taught him to be kind. Also, you are the idiot for dating a 21-year-old at 32 and making her a stepmother to a little kid. My aunt and cousin, tween male Andy, live close by and are frequent visitors to our home. Andy and I have been close since he was just a toddler. He would spend lots of time in our house, so it's not an exaggeration to call him my brother. The problem is that my aunt has zero awareness about what it takes to watch Andy, despite how much I love him. She would drop by and leave him in our house, even if I tell her I'm studying and can't watch him. She would tell me it's better to have someone with him in the house than no company at all, and that I don't need to watch over him as he can fix himself a sandwich or order himself something, and he has her phone on him so he can just watch something. She always just takes her purse and abandons him there regardless of how I object. If Andy really sticks to the phone and doesn't disturb me, that would be fine, but he doesn't and he shouldn't. He's so young. He can't stay glued to a screen for 8 consecutive hours, and I don't blame him one bit for that. I complained to my mom multiple times and she would just shut me down too, so I came up with the idea that whenever my aunt came over I would shut myself in my room and tell Mom to tell them I wasn't in the house. That way Mom doesn't have to get into a conflict with her sister and I don't get inconvenienced. Win-win. My mom resisted at first but was on board later. This time though, when my aunt came over, I could hear her yelling as though an argument was going, and then my aunt came knocking on my door while shouting that she knew I was in there, followed by my mom telling me to just get out and that I caused her enough trouble. I walk out and there's a storm of berating, first from Mom and second from my aunt. I know my mom was berating me like that to appease my aunt, but it still hurt, and I also lashed out at her that she was sacrificing her own daughter for her sister. When Mom saw me like that, she apologised to my aunt, told her she'll deal with this, walked her to the door and then went back and asked me what I expected by avoiding her for several weeks like this, and that she would start asking questions eventually. I was upset and refused to answer her anymore, and been cooped up in my room since then. No mood to attend classes either. Am I the idiot for acting like this? Not the idiot. If no one is willing to stop their behaviour, all you can do is change yours. Start studying at the library. When your aunt shows up, grab your books and leave the house. It doesn't matter if he is your brother. Even if he was your true brother and lived in the same house, you shouldn't be forced to babysit him, especially when you need to study. It's not even about babysitting, it's about hijacking OP's time. OP had other things going on and was expected to give them up to babysit. This is a matter of respect. Also, Aunt strikes me as the sort of person that would send her kid to the library with OP. I really hate when crap hits the fan. People have no backbone. Your mom sold your feelings out to appease her sister. It doesn't matter if you like him like a brother, it matters you can do schoolwork and not have to watch a kid while they hang out. Your aunt is a lazy parent, and your mom is a pushover. But I'm very happy to read that you don't resent Andy for his mom's behaviour, which is very mature.